Hi, friends. I wanted to talk to you today about how to make a table in Google Documents to show information based on something you've read. Now, this strategy will work for any kind of nonfiction article that you're reading. Today, I'm going to read an article about the history behind Black History Month, meaning why do we celebrate Black History Month and how did that month of celebration and education come into being? But you could use the same strategy for any nonfiction article that you're reading, whether it's science or social studies. I'm going to begin by looking at the instructions in our bingo board. I'm here in the middle of the first row where it says create a table with information about how Black History Month was created. Use this article for your research. So I'm going to click on the link and go to the article. Now, I've already read this article. And one thing that you can do while you're reading nonfiction is keep paper and pencil handy and just jot down the answer to this question as you read. What am I learning? What am I learning? So read a paragraph and then pause, look away from the text, don't look back at the article, and ask yourself, okay, what am I learning? Write down a sentence or an idea about what you've learned. That's one way that you can take information from a source like an article and put it into your own words. And this is something that a lot of kids have a hard time with. Let's look at an example. In 1915, in response to the lack of information on the accomplishments of Black people available to the public, historian Carter G. Woodson co-founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. I'm going to stop there because just that sentence is a lot. I'm going to ask myself, what am I learning? And notice I am not going to put my eyes back on the article quite yet. I'm going to challenge myself to recall something from the article. A historian, which is somebody who studies history, named Carter G. Woodson, I think was his name. I'll look back in a second and double check. I think it was Carter G. Woodson. A historian named Carter G. Woodson noticed that information about Black history was not available to people who were interested. Information about Black history was not available to people who were interested. Notice I did not look back at the article. I wrote down my ideas from memory. Now, if you don't remember, like if you look at your notes and you think, well, gosh, I don't really remember what I was just reading about, that's a good indication that you need to go back and read it again. Okay, Carter G. Woodson, I got his name right, good. And he co-founded something called the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Now, proper nouns, names of organizations, names of places, names of people, those are all proper nouns. Those are okay to copy word for word. You're not copying somebody else's idea by correctly naming the person that the article is about. You're not copying somebody's idea or somebody's work by carefully copying down the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. So those are things that are appropriate to carefully copy down. So Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study. Now I'm looking back and forth because I want to copy it correctly. Founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Okay. In 1926, the group declared the second week of February as Negro History Week to recognize the contributions of African Americans to U.S. history. Few people studied Black history, and it wasn't included in textbooks prior to the creation of Negro History Week. So interestingly, Black History Month started out as a week of celebration and education, and that was back between 1915 and 1926. So I'm going to make a note of that. Okay. This week was chosen because it includes the birthdays of both Frederick Douglass, an abolitionist, someone who wanted to end the practice of enslaving people, and former U.S. President Abraham Lincoln. Let me pause and ask myself, what am I learning? I'm not going to look back at the text while I answer that question. I'm challenging myself to recall something from what I've read. So, the inspiration for Black History Week, as it was originally known, was Abraham Lincoln's birthday. They wanted it to be the same week as his birthday. And who was the other person? Oh gosh, Frederick Douglass, right? Yes, Frederick Douglass. So notice how I had to kind of pause and search in my memory for what I had read. And I was a little bit uncertain. And so I looked back at the text, yes. And then I saw, okay, yes, Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. You should be going back and forth between the text and your notes. Okay. President Lincoln led the United States during the Civil War, which was primarily fought over the enslavement of Black people in the country. Many schools and leaders began recognizing the week after its creation. The week-long event officially became Black History Month in 1976, when U.S. President Gerald Ford extended the recognition to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. So that is a quote, and I know it's a quote that president said because it's in quotation marks. That's a quote from Gerald Ford. So Gerald Ford was the one who extended it from a week-long event to a month-long event. Gerald Ford extended the week-long event to a month-long event. Okay. In 1976. So see how much I've written so far? I've got a good chunk of information written down. I haven't copied anything from the text other than names of places, names of people, and dates. Everything else is my own words and my own thinking. Okay, the next section of the article is about what it honors. Black History Month was created to focus attention on the contributions of African Americans to the United States. It honors all Black people from periods of U.S. history, from the enslaved people first brought over from Africa in the early 17th century to African Americans living in the United States today. So let me pause and try to think about what I could write in my own words about what I'm learning in this paragraph. It sounds to me like the purpose of Black History Month is to recognize the contributions that Black people have made to our society all the way from the beginning of our history back in the 1700s and even 1600s until now. The purpose of Black History Month is to recognize the contributions of African Americans to the history of the United States from the 1600s onward. I didn't copy any of that from the text. It's my own understanding of what I read. Among the notable figures often spotlighted during Black History Month are Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for equal rights for Blacks during the 1950s and 60s. Thurgood Marshall, the first African American justice appointed to the United States Supreme Court in 1967, Mae Jemison, who became the first female African-American astronaut to travel to space in 1992, and Barack Obama, who was elected to the first ever African-American president of the United States in 2008. And here he is at his inauguration, taking the oath of office with his wife, Michelle. Okay, one more paragraph. So I'm just going to make a note that many people are celebrated during Black History Month, including, so I just read about Thurgood Marshall. Let me make sure I'm spelling his name right, because names are very important. Yep, got it. Mae Jemison, got her, and Barack Obama. Okay. Black History Month today. Since the first Negro History Week in 1926, other countries have joined the United States in celebrating Black people and their contribution to history and culture, including Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, and the Netherlands. Today, Black History Month continues the discussion of Black people and their contributions through activities such as museum exhibits and film screenings, and by encouraging the study of achievements by African Americans year-round. So again, I'm going to pause, look away from the text, and ask myself, what am I learning? I'm going to write down what I think the most important point from those paragraphs are without copying the text. So let's see. The celebration of Black history has spread to other countries. Including Canada and the Netherlands. Okay. Activities and events help us celebrate the achievements of African Americans throughout history. Okay, I've got my notes. I did not copy this author's work. That's very important. See, here's my page of notes. Now, I am an adult with a lot of practice in doing this. You guys are fifth graders. I don't expect you to write a whole page of notes about this article. I do expect you to read a portion of text, look away from the text, and write down your understanding of what you just learned. Remember, the question to ask yourself is, what am I learning? And then you go from there. Okay? In my next video, I'm going to show you how to make the table.